Eli fell backwards from his seat by the gate and broke his neck, for he was old and heavy. So he died. He had been judge over Israel for 40 years. His daughter-in-law, the wife of Phinehas, was with child and near her time. When she heard of the capture of the ark and the deaths of her father-in-law and her husband, her labor suddenly began, and she crouched down and was delivered. As she lay dying, the woman who attended her said, "Do not be afraid, you have a son." But she did not answer or heed what they said. Then they named the boy Ichabod, saying, "Loi has departed from Israel," an allusion to the capture of the ark of God and the death of her father-in-law and her husband. "Glory has departed from Israel," they said, because the ark of God was taken. After the Philistines had captured the ark of God, they brought it from Ebenezer to Ashdod, and there they carried it into the temple of Dagon, and set it beside Dagon himself. When the people of Ashdod rose the next morning, there was Dagon, fallen face downwards before the ark of the Lord. So they took him, and put him back in his place. Next morning when they rose, Dagon had fallen face downwards before the ark of the Lord, with his head and his 2 hands laying broken off beside his platform. Only Dagon's body remained on it. This is why from that day to this the priests of Dagon and all who enter the temple of Dagon at Ashdod do not set a foot upon Dagon's platform. Then the Lord laid a heavy hand on the people of Ashdod. He threw them into distress and pledged them with tumors, and their territory swarmed with rats. There was death and destruction all through the city. When the men of Ashdod saw this, they said, "The ark of the God of Israel shall not stay here, for he has laid a heavy hand upon us, and upon Dagon, our God." So they sent and called all the Philistine princes together to ask what should be done with the ark. They said, "Let the ark of the God of Israel be taken across to Gath." They took it there, and after its arrival the hand of the Lord caused great havoc in the city. He pledged everybody high and low alike with tumors which broke out. Then they sent the ark of God on to Ekron. When the ark reached Ekron, the people cried, "They have brought the ark of the God of Israel over to us, to kill us and our families." So they summoned all the Philistine princes and said, "Send the ark of the God of Israel away. Let it go back to its own place, or it will be the death of us all." There was death and destruction all throughout the city, for the hand of God lay heavy upon it. Even those who did not die were pledged with tumors. The cry of the city went up to heaven. When the ark of the Lord had been in their territory for 7 months, the Philistines summoned priests and soothsayers and asked, "What shall we do with the ark of the Lord? Tell us how we ought to send it back to its own place." They answered, "If you send the ark of the God of Israel back, do not let it go without a gift. but send it back with a gift for him by the way of indemnity. Then you will be healed and restored to favor. There is no reason why his hand should not be lifted from you." When they were asked, "What gift shall we send back to him?" they answered, "Send 5 tumors modeled in gold and 5 gold rats, one for each of the Philistine princes. For the same plague affected all of you and your princes. Make models of your tumors and of the rats which are ravaging the land, and give honor to the God of Israel. Perhaps he will relax the pleasure of his hand on your God, and on your land. Why should you be stubborn like Pharaoh and the Egyptians? Remember how this God made sport of them until they let Israel go. Now let us make a new wagon ready with 2 milch cows which have never been yoked. Harness the cows to the wagon and take their calves from them and drive them back to their stalls. Then take the ark of the Lord and put it on the wagon. Place it in a casket beside it, the gold offerings that you are sending to him as indemnity, and let it go where it will. Watch it. If it goes towards its own territory to Beth Shemesh, then it is the Lord who has done us this great injury. But if not, then we shall know that his hand has not touched us, but we have been victims of chance." The men did this. They took the 2 milch cows and harnessed them to a wagon, shutting up their calves in the stall. They placed the ark of the Lord on the wagon together with the casket, the gold wraps, and the models of their Hemorrhoids. Then the cows went straight in the direction of Beth Shemesh. They kept on the same road, lowering as they went, turning neither right nor left. While the Philistine princes followed them as far as the territory of Beth Shemesh. Now the people of Beth Shemesh were harvesting their wheat in the vale. And when they looked up and saw the ark, they rejoiced at the sight of it. The wagon came to the farm of Joshua of Beth Shemesh and halted there. Close by stood a great stone. So they chopped up the wood of the wagon and offered the cows as a whole offering to the Lord. Then the Levites lifted down the ark of the Lord and the casket containing the gold offerings, and laid them on the great stone. The men of Beth Shemesh offered whole offerings and shared offerings that day to the Lord. The 5 princes of the Philistines watched all this, and returned to Ekron the same day. These golden Hemorrhoids, which the Philistines sent back as a gift of indemnity to the Lord, were for Ashdod, Gezer, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron, one for each city. The gold rats were for all the towns of the Philistines, governed by the 5 princes, both fortified towns and open settlements. The great stone where they deposited the ark of the Lord stands witness on the farm of Joshua of Beth Shemesh to this very day. But the sons of Jeconiah did not rejoice with the rest of the men of Beth Shemesh when they welcomed the ark of the Lord, and he struck down 70 of them. The people mourned because the Lord had struck them so heavy a blow. And the men of Beth Shemesh said, No one is safe in the presence of the Lord, this holy God. To whom can we send it to be rid of him? So they sent this message to the inhabitants of Kir-Iath Jearim. The Philistines have returned the ark of the Lord. Come down and take charge of it. Then the men of Kiriath Jearim came and took the ark of the Lord away. They brought it into the house of Abinadab on the hill, and consecrated his son Eleazar as its custodian. So for a long while the ark was housed in Kiriath Jearim, and after some time, 20 years later, there was a movement throughout Israel to follow the Lord. So Samuel addressed these words to the whole nation. If you are returning to the Lord with all your hearts, then rid yourselves of foreign gods and the Asher Toriths, and commit yourselves to the Lord and serve him only, and he will deliver you out of the hand of the Philistines. The Israelites then banished the Baalim and Ashtaroth, and worshipped the Lord alone. Samuel summoned all Israel to an assembly Assemble all Israel at Mizpah, and I will intercede with the Lord for you. Mizpah, so that he might intercede with the Lord for them. When they had assembled there, they drew water and poured it out before the Lord, and fasted all day, confessing that they had sinned against the Lord. It was at Mizpah that Samuel acted as judge of Israel. The Philistines heard that the Israelites had assembled at Mizpah. Their princes marched against them. The Israelites heard that the Philistines were advancing, and they were afraid. They said to Samuel, Do not cease to pray for us to the Lord our God to save us from the power of the Philistines. Thereupon Samuel took a suckling lamb and offered it up as a complete offering, a whole offering, and prayed aloud to the Lord on behalf of Israel. And the Lord answered his prayer. As Samuel was offering the sacrifice and the Philistines were advancing in battle with the Israelites, the Lord thundered loud and long over the Philistines and threw them into confusion. They fled in panic before the Israelites, who set out from Mizpah in pursuit, and kept up the slaughter of the Philistines till they reached a point below Bethkar. There Samuel took a stone and set it up as a monument between Mizpah and Josh-Anah, naming it Eben-Ezer. For to this point, he said, the Lord has helped us. Thus the Philistines were subdued, and no longer encroached the territory of Israel. And the hand of the Lord was against them as long as Samuel lived. The cities they had captured were restored to Israel, and from Ekron to Gath, the borderland was freed from their control. Between Israel and the Amorites, peace was maintained. Samuel acted as judge in Israel as long as he lived, and every year went on circuit to Bethel and Gilgal and Mizpah. He dispensed justice at all these places, returning always to Ramah. That was his home, and the place from which he governed Israel, and there he built an altar to the Lord. When Samuel grew old, he appointed his sons to be judges in Israel. The eldest son was named Joel, and the second, Abiah. They acted as judges in Beersheba. His sons did not follow in their father's footsteps, but were intent on their own profit, taking bribes and perverting the course of justice. So all the elders of Israel met, and came to Samuel at Ramah, and said to him, "You are now old, and your sons do not follow in your footsteps. Appoint us a king to govern us, like the other nations." But their request for a king to govern them displeased Samuel, and he prayed to the Lord. The Lord answered Samuel, "Listen to the people and all that they are saying. They have not rejected you. It is I whom they have rejected. I whom they will not have to be their king. They are doing to you just what they have been doing to me since I brought them up from Egypt. They have forsaken me and worshipped other gods. Hear what they have to say. But give them a solemn warning and tell them what sort of king will govern them." Samuel told the people who were asking for a king all that the Lord had said to him. "This is what the king who will reign over you will claim as his rights. He will take your sons and make them serve with his chariots and horses. They will run in front of his chariots. Some he will assign to be commanders of thousands and commanders of 50, and others to plow his ground and reap his harvest, and still others to make weapons of war and equipment for his chariots. He will take your daughters to be perfumers and cooks and bakers. He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and olive groves and give them to his attendants. He will take 1/10 of your grain and of your vintage and give it to his officials and attendants. Your male and female servants and the best of your cattle and donkeys he will take off for his own use. He will take 1/10 of your flocks, and you yourselves will become his slaves. When that day comes, you will cry aloud for relief from the king you have chosen. But the Lord will not answer you that day." The people refused to listen to Samuel. "No," they said, "we will have a king over us. Then we shall be like other nations, with a king to govern us, to lead us out to war and fight our battles." So Samuel, when he heard what the people said, told the Lord, and he answered, "Take them at their word and appoint them a king." Samuel then dismissed all the men of Israel to their homes. There was a man from the district of Benjamin, whose name was Kish, son of Abiel, son of Zeror, son of Boch-orath, son of Aphiah, a Benjamite. He was a man of substance, and had a son named Saul, a young man in his prime. There was no better man among the Israelites than he. He was a head taller than any of his fellows. One day some asses belonging to Saul's father Kish had strayed. So he said to his son Saul, "Take one of the servants with you, and go and look for the asses." They crossed the hill country of Ephraim, and went through the district of Shal-Isha, but did not find them. They passed through the district of Shalim, but they were not there. They passed through the district of Benjamin, but again they did not find them. When they had entered the districts of Ruth, Saul said, "Come, let's go back to my father, or my father will stop thinking about the donkeys and start worrying about us." The servant answered, "There's a man of God in the city here, who has a great reputation because everything he says comes true. Suppose we go there. He may tell us something about this errand of ours." Saul said, "If we go, what can we give the man? The food in our sacks is gone. We have no gift to take to the man of God. What do we have?" The servant answered him again, "Wait, I have here a quarter shekel of silver. I can give that to the man, to tell us what we should do." Saul said, "Good. Come, let's go." So they went to the city where the man of God was. In days gone by in Israel, when a man wished to consult God, he would say, "Let us go to the seer." For what is nowadays called a prophet used to be called a seer. As they were going up the hill to the city, they met some females coming out to draw water, and asked, "Shall we find the seer here?" "Yes," they said. "The seer is ahead of you now. He has just arrived in the city because there's a feast at the hill shrine today. As you enter the city, you will meet him before he goes up to the shrine to eat. The people will not start until he comes, for he has to bless the sacrifice before the company can eat. Go up now, and you will find him at once." So they went up to the city, and just as they were going in, there was Samuel coming towards them, on his way up to the shrine. Now, the day before Saul came, the Lord had disclosed his intention to Samuel in these words, "At this time tomorrow I will send you a man from the land of Benjamin. Anoint him prince over my people Israel, and then he shall deliver my people from the Philistines. I have seen the suffering of my people, and their cry has reached my ears." The moment Saul appeared, the Lord said to Samuel, "Here is the man whom I spoke to you." "This man shall rule my people." Saul came up to Samuel in the gateway and said, "Would you tell me where the seer is?" Samuel replied, "I am the seer. Go up ahead of me to the high place, for today you are to eat with me, and in the morning I will send you on your way, and will tell you all that is in your heart. As for the donkeys you lost 3 days ago, do not worry about them. They have been found. And to whom is all the desire of Israel turned? if not to you and your whole family line. But am I not a Benjamite? From the smallest tribe in Israel? Is not my clan the least of all the clans of the tribe of Benjamin? Why do you say such a thing to me? Samuel then brought Saul and his servant into the dining hall, and gave them a place at the head of the company, which numbered about 30. Then he said to the cook, "Bring the piece of meat I gave you." So the cook took up the whole haunch and leg and put it before Saul. And Samuel said, "Here is what has been kept for you. Eat, because it was set aside for you for this occasion, from the time I said, 'I have invited guests.'" So Saul dined with Samuel that day. And when they came down from the hillside to the city, a bed was spread on the roof for Saul, and he stayed there that night. At dawn, Samuel called to Saul, "Get ready, I will send you on your way." Saul rose. He and Samuel went out together into the street. As they came to the end of the town, Samuel said to Saul, "Tell the servant to go ahead of us, but you stay here for a while, so that I may give you a message from God."